Okay, and look at this. Look at this for timing.
Yay.
Fantastic. Excellent.
Leonard there. Hello.
Hi.
Hello there. Hi there. So I shall explain what's going on now. This is, yeah, we've got Stephen and Stephen who have literally just managed to sort out their technical issues.
Yes.
And now they can't actually see me because I'm now screen sharing my countdown. So we really will be doing a full-blown introduction to each other when I turn the screen share off. But there we go. Excellent stuff. So we've got 5 minutes before we are actually up and running, or 4.5 minutes. This allows us to get ourselves nicely sorted out technical-wise. But we've got a couple of people in the chat room already. Super Catchick, hello. Andrew English, hello. Didn't think he was going to make it back from MCM London in time. You're going to have to tell me what you thought of it. I've been hearing really good things about MCM this weekend. I heard it's been an absolutely amazing event. Michael P from Colorado Springs, hello Michael. Do spread the word by all means. Let everyone know that we are live, but we'll be talking to our guests and getting into all the Comic-Con news in about 4 minutes time, which gives me plenty of time to go get myself a cup of tea. Bear with me, chat. We'll allow Alyssa to waffle on and talk about the forum, perhaps.
Oh, no. No, must I? I was planning on not talking at all this time, this show. Yes, we do. Leonard does like to have his cup of tea. So if you have something to drink, that's always a nice thing. I personally have got tea and a soda. It's my preferred way of doing it. I believe the screen share is on continuously during this 5 minutes. So we're just little things in the bottom of it. I believe what Leonard had said is that at about 25 minutes or so into it, we'd be shifting over to you guys for Game of Thrones and musical, and yeah, talking in about that. But he's the one that actually runs the show. I just I'm the I get to fill in if something happens, like he wants to go get a cup of tea or something of that nature. So.
I don't want that to be the case. I want Alyssa to be an active part of this.
I am active.
You want us to mute ourselves for the first 25 minutes and then just unmute when we come in?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Like I say, if you can, yeah.
You can sit back and relax and just listen, and then when you introduce, we turn ourselves on.
Pretty much.
I'm turning myself on, so it's all good.
Excellent stuff. Who else we got? Graham Small, Aop, Aaron Neighbors, hola from San Diego.
Hey, Aaron.
Leonard, is this the musical episode? When does the singing start?
Dude, well, we have the soundtrack. I don't know how we could play it. We'd just play it and you'd hear it, but we'll tell you where to go. It's on SoundCloud.
Okay, in that case, what in the 20 minutes then, if you want to send the lyrics over,
yeah.
Maybe not. No, because the last thing you need is to hear me singing. It's the last thing. Okay. Excellent stuff. Andrew English, MCM, all the days you've been, days of feet and knees are killing you. Okay, because I mean the guest list has been incredible at the XL in London this weekend. Yeah, lots of fun. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great show today. We've got some great guests, but of course we are going to be talking about all the other news that's been cropping up this week, including a number of the exclusives reveals that have come certainly from Mobius models, which are very nice indeed. I think we've also had a couple of new ones from Mattel as well. I'll go through the exclusives from this week, a couple of off-site news as well, and yes, we will be talking about Phoenix Comic-Con. I did make that email to CCI to talk about their security issues or security plans for July, but certainly Phoenix will be certainly something we're going to talk about in terms of their implemented bits and pieces this weekend in terms of cosplay weapons. So we are going to be talking about that towards the end of the show. Cool.
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds like a plan. The other thing that we're going to talk about is no, I'll do that as part of my intro as well. No, because talk about that. Okay, we've got the chat room up and running on YouTube. And of course, I've got my window open on my phone for the hashtag. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. And I hit that. And if I turn the screen share off. Hola! Hello there. Right. So that's where Stephen and Stephen go, oh, yeah, oh, flat cap. No, we're not interested. We're not, what? No, what's this all about? So thank you very much indeed for joining us. This is Talking Comic-Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. My name is Leonard Sultana. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. 8 and a bit weeks to San Diego Comic-Con 2017. Everyone's getting their plans in place. It's not that far away to go now. It's just getting closer and closer, and lots of things getting lined up in terms of panels, which are slowly but surely getting revealed to the people who have submitted for them, and also for those who have put themselves down for off-site. We're going to be talking about those as well later on. But first things first, let's do my quick introduction of my certainly my partner in crime. We've got Alyssa from the Friends of Comic-Con Forum. Hello, Alyssa. How are you?
I'm well. It's been a quiet week, which we all appreciate after the hecticness. We're still talking about hotels on the forum, of course, Phoenix and their issues and security over the course of the past week. But it's kind of nice to take a moment and have the time to go through your closet and start thinking about packing, getting ready for the con season, and as a result, we have 2 wonderful guests.
Well, three. Yeah, if we add them all up, absolutely. Well, we've got Stephen from the Game of Thrones the musical, which is the off-site that we did that giveaway on the website a couple of weeks ago, which we got a very grateful winner, thank goodness. And we're going to be talking to them about their efforts. But first things first, we've got ourselves Emily from Traveling Stories, who's joining us. Hello, Emily. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Now, Emily is somebody who has been making a lot of a splash on social media, especially if you follow Comic-Con Twitter over the last month or so, purely because she has put herself an amazing sweepstake together to allow someone to attend Comic-Con, to get flights to Comic-Con, to attend a couple of off-site events, including a VIP passes to a Comic-Con off-site party. It's just an amazing package, and we're going to talk about that in a bit. But I think I'd love to talk to you about what the sweepstake is promoting and what Traveling Stories is all about, because I think it's an amazing effort that you're doing. First things first, I suppose, an introduction to yourself and the start of Traveling Stories, please. Except Emily's gone. After all of that.
Perhaps if
Emily
she'll
has
come.
gone.
Welcome to live theater. Oh, now here she's back.
She was listening.
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
She was listening to my intro and got bored and shut things down.
I was like, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Can you hear me and see me still or now?
We can hear you, can't see you.
That might actually be for the best. Let's see. We'll see if I can get back. Okay, can you see me now?
We can indeed.
Sorry about that. I'm better with books than technology.
Well, okay, we'll start there. So yeah, the introduction was, tell us about Traveling Stories. And
well, that's an easy question. So my name's Emily, and Traveling Stories is a nonprofit organization. And our whole goal is helping kids fall in love with reading by the 4th grade. And it's an organization that I started 7 years ago. I've always loved reading. Books have been like my best friends. And after college, I moved to Honduras, and I was a teacher for a year. And my students were in high school and had never had an opportunity to fall in love with reading. They had never been to the library. They'd never been tucked in with a bedtime story. And so I got to bring all these books to my students in Honduras, and I got to watch them fall in love with reading. And it inspired me to start the nonprofit to give that same experience to kids all over the world, but also here in San Diego, where I grew up. And, you know, at first it was seeing the need internationally, but then it was doing research and finding out that kids in America and kids in developed countries as well are struggling to read proficiently. So that's what Traveling Stories is. It's kind of what I spend a lot of time talking about. I definitely spend most of my time working on it. But we're really excited to be partnering with IDW Publishing and Comic-Con and to be able to do the sweepstakes. All the money that we're raising is going to our programs for the kids. But, you know, as a reader and having grown up in San Diego, Comic-Con is a huge deal. And to be able to offer this prize package, it has hotel, airfare, tickets. It's like something you can't, I mean, it's a package you can't even really buy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not even including the VIP experiences. And one of them is meeting Kevin Eastman, who created the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And just, you know, like, I don't know. I remember when I first met him, I mean, I personally love the Turtles. I liked April. She's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to be a journalist and why I studied that in college. And then getting to meet him and be like, oh my gosh, this is the person who like thought up these characters, or, you know, one of the two people who thought up those characters. So I'm excited to see who wins our prize and excited for them to kind of have that experience.
Plus Kevin Eastman is such a sweetheart. He's a really nice guy. Super nice.
He really is.
That's
he really
wonderful.
Is.
So
I remember going to
that's one of the VIP experiences that you're offering?
Yes. One of the VIP experiences is a meet and greet with Kevin. And the other is the tickets to the cast party with Wynonna Earp, the Wynonna Earp cast party. And they have season 2 starting, I want to say like June 9th or something.
Neat.
And their cast, they're awesome as well.
It's a very cool prize. I'd like to talk about certainly Traveling Stories in terms of kind of that connection between Comic-Con, because while Comic-Con has definitely become that a celebration of pop culture, you're definitely talking about the literary side of introducing. Because I turned around and said on my Periscope, talking about today's show, that my local library, you'd know if I ever won the National Lottery or the lottery here in the UK, because suddenly my local library would be the biggest comic library on the planet. Like every graphic novel you could get. Is it kind of, I can imagine it is kind of that the bringing of art and literature together, which gives you that kind of connect with Traveling Stories with comics.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we find, so Traveling Stories, we specialize in engaging reluctant readers. So kids like that, I mean, everything that we do is to try and get kids who don't like reading to pick up a book. And, you know, that's why we set up our programs at farmers markets and places that you probably wouldn't traditionally go to read or to get tutoring. And so for the same reason, that's why comics have been just huge for us, because a lot of times a kid doesn't want to read a regular book, especially I find with the boys that come to our program, they may not be interested in some of the books we have, but they're totally interested in Transformers, or, you know, just the comics are definitely probably some of our most popular reading material at our programs. And so to be able to kind of come full circle and not only appreciate how comics help kids fall in love with reading at our program, but then to, I don't know, I think a lot of times as we get older, and if we already appreciate reading, we might forget that other people don't have that yet, or we might forget that. And so
comics for me were the stepping stone to reading, because I read comics from a very young age, 2, 3, 4. I was tearing through.
Yeah, wow.
Beano and British comics here, and then moving on to books very early on, and the comics were that gateway. Remind me, what's the age group that you kind of primarily deal with?
We work with kids 2 to 12 years old, so a pretty big group.
So what kind of comics do you kind of use as that gateway? Is there any titles that have jumped in?
Yeah, I'm trying to think like what has been most popular. I mean, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have definitely been very popular. Transformers.
Archie.
I was wondering.
Let's see, Godzilla.
I was wondering about Bone by Jeff Smith. Bone.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not yet.
Oh, I'm sure between myself and Alyssa, we can come up with a whole bunch of books. Oh, I can see
awesome.
Stephen looking behind him for picking one up.
Well, that's
There you go. There you go.
Yes, thank you.
That looks awesome.
It is. It's
I'll have to
actually
check that out.
one of the series that got my son interested in reading.
Okay.
He was a late reader. Late reading is the norm in our family. We usually don't pick up books until about grade 3. So I was happy to hear that you're not putting all the emphasis in. You must read by grade 1. That's a great. Yeah. But Jeff Smith.
Jeff Smith. Okay, I'm gonna check that out. We're always looking for more, and
he's
a lot of the kids like they'll.
Go on.
Sorry.
Emily,
Jeff
you
Smith,
first.
I was gonna say a lot of times, what makes me so happy is when the kids start asking for particular titles, because when they first start coming, it's kind of like you're like asking them a million questions to try to figure out what they're interested in, and you're like trying to get them to connect. So when kids start reading more and more, and I've noticed they start coming back and they're like, hey, have you heard of this or whatever, and then we can order it. They've been reading a lot of, what is it? Is it Ninjago? I forget.
Yeah. The Lego series.
Yeah, I think so that's been popular. But I'll have to check out Bones.
I'm certain that our audience could also come up with a whole bunch of titles. I mean, off the top of my head, Princeless by Jeremy Whiteley is another one from Action Lab, which is also really powerful for young female readers as well, young girls, because it's very empowering. So that's a title that I'm
That's awesome. Fan. Well, if anyone is watching and they have some suggestions, you guys are welcome to go to our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/travelingstories, and leave us a comment or send us a message. We definitely are interested in hearing suggestions. What we're doing is getting kids connected with books, and I mean, one book does not work for every kid. So the more books that we can learn about, the better, the more effective that we can be. So if you have a suggestion, visit us on Facebook.
Well, Andrew Dickinson on the Facebook chat room. By all means, guys, if you're watching, jump in on the chat room. Any questions you have for our guests. It's a roundtable event. You know how this works. Do jump in. Andrew Dickinson saying, so how many books do you have for the project so far? Or are you afraid to add them all up at this point?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks for the question. We have so many books. We have, I don't know. I don't know how many, but I know we have a storage unit full, and then we have another storage space full, and then we have a van that we take to all of our programs, and that's full. So what we do is our program's mobile, so we have to keep it kind of light. And what we do is we fill plastic bins with books, and then we take 3 to 4 bins to every program, and then we rotate those bins out so that we're bringing new books every week. So we set up 3 times a week at 3 different farmers markets just in San Diego, and then we have partners who do that in other places. But I'd say we have a couple thousand books, to the point where sometimes we have to be like, hey, thanks for donating, but we don't have anywhere to can you also donate storage space or a van? So
are the books curated at all? Because certainly an issue that came here in the UK, and this is something I wanted to talk to you about. There was a couple of schools here in the UK a couple weeks back, which actually kind of were down on a number of books because they felt that they were too immature, as it were, for certainly to kind of ease them into other books. And certainly some young fantasy books and young adult books were kind of dismissed by these. I presume for yourself it's pretty much fair game.
Yeah, it's fair game. I mean, we take out, we have to clean through the books and make sure there's nothing no romance novels or something kind of crazy for kids anyways. I mean, if you want to read romance novels, by all means go for it. But yeah, I think that's kind of also an area where we have a lot of freedom. We position ourselves we love schools, we love libraries, and we partner with them. But we also specifically position ourselves as not a library. We're outside of that realm, and so by doing that, we have a lot of freedom. And in terms of what kind of books do we have, and it's interesting. I see a lot of kids who will come into our story tent and they're like, oh, I'm a level Q reader at school. Where are your level Q books? And I'm like,
That's not how we work.
How we work. Yeah, I'm like, hey, good for you. I'm glad you're level Q or whatever. But I was like, here, here at the Story Tent, you can read whatever it is that interests you. And at the Story Tent, kids read books out loud to volunteers. So it's like a lot of one-on-one. It's not just one volunteer reading to everyone. So kids are reading out loud to volunteers, and for every book they read, they get fake money called book bucks. And so that's where, like, if a 10-year-old who has a strong reading level is reading, something really, really like a kindergartner book, we won't pay them a book buck, but they can still read it. But we're just, we're like, hey, like, that's below your, you need to challenge yourself. And we're always emphasizing, like, holding them accountable to what we believe they're capable of. So that's kind of our driving force. So we have a ton of books, lots of immature books, and lots of, pretty much everything. Anything kids like, we have.
Well, yeah, Kitty Gunn's asking, is it just is it comics or is it other reader books too? What's the kind of percentage between
Great question.
The kind of content you have?
That's a great question. I've never really even thought about that. But thinking now, I'd say probably only about 20% of our books are comics. And then the rest are, picture books. And then we have early reader books and chapter books. But since we're working with kids who are 2 to 12 years old, we try to keep a pretty wide variety of challenge level. And with that too, the kids, so like if a kid reads a chapter book like Harry Potter, it's worth a lot more than reading a little picture book in terms of book bucks. So a kid might be able to negotiate for like 30 book bucks by reading Harry Potter. And a lot of times too, like another question we might have come up, or that I get a lot, is, do kids get to take the books home, or do they keep the books? Do you give books away? And so we definitely want kids to be reading at home. So we're definitely encouraging them to take the harder books, and we're saying, hey, take it home and finish it at home and come back next week and we'll, give you your book bucks. And then anytime kids want to take a book home, we encourage that. But it's kind of funny. We did a few book giveaways, and kids didn't want the books. They were like, man, whatever. There's like so many, they're free, like they're not very valuable. But then we started not giving them away and either selling them for like a really, really cheap amount, like 25 cents, or just like making it more like, the book, I guess I'll bend the rules and let you take it home. And they're like, oh my gosh, yay. And I'm like, this is the same book that you didn't even want. So anything we can do to, foster a love for reading and get kids reading more, both at the program and at home, we're all about it. Anything we can do.
With young kids, it's something I was always curious about. With young kids, do you find that it's newer material that they've heard about, like your Harry Potters? Like, so for example, here in the UK, there's a book series called Artemis Fowl, which I'm a big fan of. But,
yeah.
It's only within the last sort of like 10 years or so when that's been written. Or do they actually go back to stuff like Lord of the Rings, the C.S. Lewis stuff, older books? Or is there kind of that disconnect with older, it's in much the same way as like kids going, oh well, that's black and white movie. Not it's black and white movie, not interested.
Yeah,
CG, let's have computer generated stuff.
Yeah, right, 3D and all that. I would say, yeah, I mean, there's just as much appeal. I'd say they're reading anything that interests them, and I think a lot of it has to do with our volunteers. Because I don't think we would be successful if we didn't have the volunteers we do, because having boxes of books and kids is not enough. You need to have that person who's that cheerleader for books and who kind of like gets kids involved. And so I've observed that, our volunteers have a big influence in terms of what kids hear about in regards to books. And so, I love Lord of the Rings. I love The Hobbit. I love Nancy Drew. So I'm constantly pushing all of those. And some of the kids pick them up. And, it's interesting. We had this little girl, Malika, who's 11. She's been reading with us since almost day one. And she's like, Emily, can you get Gary Paulson to come visit us? I just finished The Hatchet and it was so good. And I was like, I think he might be dead. I don't actually know actually, but she was so excited. And so and she found that on her own. So she just was like, yeah, it looked adventurous. I wanted to try it out. So I think it's, it's a mix, and it definitely, they're definitely open to suggestion. So I'd say the volunteers have a lot of power in that sense.
It also sounds like the kids get really interactive, and so like
Yeah.
I can imagine they start kind of tentative coming into
Yes.
the space, but next thing you know, they're kind of like the training.
Yeah.
The training
Actually,
wheels
just
are off.
yesterday. Yeah, they get very bold. Just yesterday, so I was at our story tent here in City Heights, and there's this little girl and a little boy. The girl just turned 4 and the boy's 5, and they're a hoot, and they're so cute. And up until this point, they've been really loving and like sweet and giving me hugs and, you know, like, oh, we love Emily. But then I don't know what happened, but yesterday they decided that I can't play with them anymore. And so they like put me on timeout. And they're just, so I mean, like they're still adorable, but yeah, they definitely, like, the kids, because they're coming every single week, and they definitely figure out the system, they get to know you, they trust you, you build up this rapport, and then sometimes, you know, it goes south and they start bossing you around. So I legitimately got put on like timeout in my own program.
Oh my god. Okay, so let's talk about the sweepstake. How did that even start? I mean, where did you kind of come up with the idea for even running that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have a friend at the company TapCat who does sweepstakes, and she had just shared with me a successful sweepstakes that she did with another nonprofit and how it brought in a lot of money. And she's like, you know, you should think about this. This is something we could do with Traveling Stories. And so we were brainstorming. We were like, what kind of prize do people want? You know, and going through our Rolodex of, you know, just what even would be feasible. And we were like, oh my gosh, Comic-Con, like that would be so amazing. I wonder if we could partner, and we wonder if they would say yes. And so we reached out to IDW, and Ted over at IDW is on my board of directors. So that was kind of easy, you know, just to be like, hey, what do you think? Is this a win-win? He's like, yeah, let's do it. So we got IDW support, and then they helped us with Comic-Con. And then Comic-Con was super sweet. And it took a little bit longer because we had to get approval from a lot of people, and we had to like draft up this whole agreement to be able to use their name and stuff like that for, you know, a certain amount of time. And just getting all the artwork approved. And, you know, when you have a big organization such as theirs, you have to be careful about who's using your logo and how it's being used. So, so then, yeah, and I mean, I remember
When did it all start? When did
it all started? I'm trying to think. We put it together pretty quickly. What is today? May? End of May? We launched the end of April. I think we started working on it like March.
Oh wow.
Yeah, maybe February, March-ish. So, and we were even like, man, this is gonna be like, normally you would run a sweepstakes longer, according to TapCat. So it was a little bit of an experiment. We're like, let's try it. I remember we were waiting on some approvals from people before we could make the site go live, right before WonderCon. And I was going on vacation in Mexico. And so I was like, oh no, like I'm not gonna have internet. Like I really hope this comes together. And it did, it came together. We were able to launch at WonderCon, and it's going strong. So our goal is to raise $30,000, which will provide for reading support and a story tent for a whole year, which will help at least 500 more kids fall in love with reading. And but I think last time I checked, we were like around 11,000. So, so hopefully, you know, we've got about 2 weeks left of the sweepstakes, and hopefully we can get to that 30,000 mark.
That'd be fantastic. We've got a question from Andrew Dickinson. So how do your kids in the programs react to Comic-Con, and do they get upset that sometimes they can't get in? Because of course, I mean, Comic-Con CCI really do push for promoting kids to come into to the event.
Yeah,
the whole free badges for kids and all that, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. But how do they react to Comic-Con?
That's a great question, and I don't know if I should answer honestly, but the truth is, like, a lot of the kids that we work with are not even very familiar with Comic-Con. So, which is kind of crazy, but we work with a lot of kids who, a lot of them have moved here from other countries. A lot of them, you know, their situations and their lifestyles are different, and I mean, to the point even where, like, we've invited them to events and they couldn't go because they don't drive on freeways, or, I mean, that's not all of them. So I think Comic-Con is just a little bit more, like some of the kids have heard about it, and some of them are really excited about it, and they would love to go, especially more of the kids, like the older kids. And some of the other kids are just like, I don't care. Like, I want to stay here and earn money and buy prizes. Like, I don't need to go with a bunch of people. That sounds crazy. So I'm like, yeah, it is crazy.
I can imagine like a cosplay meetup for traveling stories where people, the kids dress up as characters from their favorite books. I thought that that would be a nice little tie-in to the whole Comic-Con experience.
With the kid, like we recently, about a year or two ago, we got funding to buy a van, which we use, like a big 12-passenger van. We use it to transport our materials for the programs, but we can also do field trips. So we talked about bringing kids, 10 or 12 kids to Comic-Con on a field trip. But having gone to Comic-Con myself and how crazy it is, I'm like, I don't know if I want to take, me and another adult, I don't know if we can be responsible for 10 kids and not lose them or something. So, it's also, it kind of helps. We haven't taken them to Comic-Con, but we have done a lot. IDW has a comic art gallery here in San Diego, and it's really interactive. Kevin Eastman is part of it as well. And so we have taken the kids there on field trips. And I feel like that's kind of been a mini Comic-Con experience, and they get a lot of hands-on, a lot of attention. TJ is the gallery manager, and he knows everything about comics. And so I think for now, that's kind of a more manageable experience.
Yeah, that's the connect. Yeah, that's the connect.
Yeah. I think, a lot of the kids, they draw and they write, and I think they're interested in creating their own comics. But in terms of like pop culture and Comic-Con, they're not super interested yet.
Fair enough. Okay, just a couple of quick questions, just to wrap things up. Andrew English is asking, is the sweepstakes North America only, or is it worldwide open competition?
It is worldwide, so anyone in the world can enter, but the airfare is only US. So you got to get yourself to the US, and then we'll fly you from wherever you are to San Diego.
I'm cancelling my flights, and I'm going to fly into Florida. You're going to have to sort that out. Okay, that's cool. Fair enough. And just to let everyone know where we can find out, or where people can find out more about the sweepstakes and enter, where's the best place to go?
The best place to go is like our Twitter feed or our Facebook page. But the actual website for the sweepstakes is tapcat.com. And then a bunch of things after that, like sweepstakes, Comic-Con, blah, blah, blah. But I think maybe we can post it on here, like, or maybe if you go to Traveling Stories Facebook page, I know we were posting it there like all the time, obnoxiously. We're obnoxiously posting on social media. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, and you'll have no choice but to see the link.
Excellent stuff. What's the Facebook? Facebook and Twitter address?
Facebook.com/Traveling Stories. We spell it with one L. Sorry. And then Twitter is TRVLING Stories.
Excellent
like with
stuff.
all the letters.
Andrew English has jumped in on the chat room and put the address there. Yeah, it's Traveling Stories.
Yay, thank you, Andrew.
travelingstories.tapcat.org/win-comic-con experience/ Graham Small entry now. We've got a bunch of people who are jumping in on that.
Yay. And the more you so every it's $1 per entry basically, so $10 gives you 10 entries, and that all goes to Traveling Stories. So you can feel really good about it. The more chances you get, the more kids get to read. And just to give everyone an idea of like how far that money goes, $5 a month of the Storytime experience. So like reading support for a whole month for one child, $5, 1 month of reading support.
You see, this is
amazing.
This is why I wanted Emily on. It's a great cause. It's a great cause. So Emily, thank you very much indeed for joining us. I wish you all the very best. When does the sweepstake come to a close?
June 14th, and then we'll be announcing a winner within a week after that.
Okay. And one last question. Kitty Gunn has asked, will you be set up around Comic-Con?
Sorry, well, say that one more time.
Will you be set up around Comic-Con?
Oh, no, I'll be wandering around. We might have a little bit of something at the IDW table or IDW booth. But if anyone's in San Diego or you're in San Diego for Comic-Con, we do have our story tents Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So if you want to break, I know you don't really want to leave the convention, but if you're in town and you ever want to stop by and see a story tent in action, I would love to give you a tour, show you around, or you can stop by on your own as well. Our schedule for the programs is on our website, travelingstories.org. Story tent locations, and we've got a bunch, and we actually just opened new ones in Arkansas, and we're about to open one in Nashville. So if anyone listening is in those areas, check out our website, see where and when those story tents are happening, and come check it out or bring your kids.
I think I might just have to drop by. I think I'm going to have to.
You should. I'll take you. I'll take you. It'll be so much fun. The kids will love you, and you'll love them. They're so cute. Oh, they're a pain in the butt sometimes, but they're so cute.
Who's that tall, slightly chunky English person? Oh, I don't know about that. That's great.
Oh,
excellent. Emily, thank you so much indeed for joining us today, and all the very best with the sweepstake.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and please, guys, go and enter. And thank you so much. Have a great day.
No worries. No worries. Excellent stuff. We're going to put those links up on the Twitter feed as well. We're going to reshare so people can find out more, but do check it out. It's one hell of a prize. Like I say, internal domestic flights within the US, tickets into or badges inside of Comic-Con, IDW, Kevin Eastman, the whole works. It really is just an amazing setup. Do check that out. Brilliant stuff. That was fun, wasn't it? Yeah. So we have ourselves some more guests. Let's keep the all rolling. We have ourselves Stephen and Stephen, and I want to make sure I get the right ones with the right ones. I want to connect the dots on this one. So this is Stephen and Stephen from Game of Thrones musical. Tell us all about yourself, guys. What are you up to?
So firstly, hi, I'm Aussie Stephen Brandon. God bless the Queen. And we've got American Steve, Stephen Christopher Parker.
I'm Stephen Christopher Parker. I'm American.
The outsider. You're such an outsider on this podcast.
That's our one differentiating quality. We're the same person other than that.
Otherwise, yes. You can't see, but we're actually connected below, and we're just promoting our show. But we met many years ago, and in 2014, we co-wrote and I directed Lost the musical, which was 6 seasons of Lost in one musical. And that was a giant endeavor. And I said, Stephen, this was fantastic. Never do it again. And then last year he calls me and says, Stephen, let's do it again. Game of Thrones, the musical. And I said, you have to sit me down and watch the pilot with me and explain to me what the hell is going on. Because I've tried to watch Game of Thrones twice before and I couldn't get it and I gave up after one.
And I'm the biggest Game of Thrones nerd in the world. I can tell you all about the universe. So I sat him down. I said, this is what these people are. This is Castle Rock. This is the Lannisters. These are the Targaryens.
This old white man with the beard, which is different from this old white man from the beard, which is different from this old white man with the beard. And then I binge watched all 60 episodes in about 3 weeks. I'm totally hooked. Love it. Love it. And then we wrote a parody musical making fun of Game of Thrones.
Yep.
You make it sound so easy.
Well, you know what? I mean, we decided we did all 6 seasons of Lost. And it was 3 hours, was a big everything.
It was Les Miserables of Lost.
Yes, basically. And we're going to tell the Ned Stark story. We're going to do season 1, book 1. It's more of a reintroduction to the show. And then we sort of outlined what key points we want to pay attention to, what character flaws. I mean, we all love Arya and Jon Snow right now. But if you go back to season 1,
they were not the strongest characters. Like, Jon was this character that was constantly getting crapped on by his whole family. And we really played into the fact that he was the unloved one for so long in the show.
Yeah, Sansa just wanted to become queen. Arya didn't have too much to do. She wasn't really sure what was going on. So we kind of played with that and sort of made fun of that in our show. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we did original music. When we did Lost, we did parody songs. This is original music. So we wrote lyrics to 12 new songs, and we hooked up with this husband and wife team. And they created Once Upon a Time, the rock opera. This is a 1-hour video. You can catch it on YouTube. And they tour around and do a shadowcast. It's a parody of the Once Upon a Time TV show. And they wrote our music and musically directed our show. So we have 12 original songs. You can go to gotthemusical.com and hear a sample of all the songs. In fact, you can even go to cdbaby.com and purchase the musical
Stephen, you're shameless. You're shameless.
I'm the producer.
But how long has Game of Thrones the musical been running? Because it's not just something for San Diego, is it? It's a full touring. Is it a full touring production?
So we originally launched in Los Angeles. We ran for 10 weeks in Los Angeles. We did 40 performances, and now we're heading to San Diego for 8 shows over 3 days. And after that, who knows?
This is the first stop on our tour. San Diego is our first.
We've had invites from other venues in other cities. We'll see if anything comes to fruition. So.
First stop on your tour, further dates to be confirmed.
This tour does well. We could go to other places.
We could go to insert city name here.
Yes. Your place.
So how long has, I mean, has it been within a year to put this together then?
Yeah, we actually started writing in June of last year. We finished the book in October, and the music, we started rehearsing in November. And we started running in late January, early February. So
yeah, we debuted February 10th in Westeros, Hollywood, and we ran 10 weeks. We actually have 2 casts. It's February, March, April, which we're in Los Angeles, which is pilot season. A lot of actors get booked for other things. We didn't want to have so many understudies, so we created 2 casts. One we call House Lannister, one we call House Targaryen, and they did 4 shows a week, so they did 2 each. And then when someone shot a movie, this person would fill in for this person. But it really, it gave us a big audience. And you can come and see the show twice. It's the same script, but the cast is different. They do different jokes, different buttons, different scenes, different costumes. And we're bringing both casts to San Diego. So like on Thursday night, first night of official Comic-Con, we're going to do a 6 o'clock show with House Lannister, a 9 o'clock show with House Targaryen. Then on Friday, there's 2 Targaryens, and we're doing a late midnight after dark show on Friday night. So it's going to be even more naughty, even more.
I saw the words after dark performance, and I was just going, okay, is this Game of Thrones the musical, the all nude version?
No, it's not. Yes,
because obviously the television show, it's dragons and tits. The after dark version, it's more of the latter.
Yeah, it's a version with all the inappropriateness you want and desire in Game of Thrones.
I mean, a lot of people come to, is this safe? Is this safe for kids? I'm like, if your child has seen Game of Thrones, the TV show, then our musical is definitely safe because we're only taking what they give and making fun of it. But there's a lot of innuendo, and it's Game of Thrones, so there's a lot of innuendo.
Oh, God.
Stephen, you are shameless.
Terrible. Although as a Benny Hill fan, yeah, I get it. It's okay. I'm down. Certainly, when it comes to the stuff that you did last year, I mean, what was your experience doing Lost the Musical? I mean, the question that I really wanted to ask you is how on earth do you attract attention when you've got all the noise of San Diego Comic-Con going on? Because obviously you had a lot of fun doing it, but what was your experience doing Lost?
Well, Lost was really interesting. We had a lot of really positive attention from former cast members of Lost. Jorge Garcia came to see the show. Rebecca Mader came to see it, who played Charlotte. We had a lot of, I think we had 7 returning cast members.
Yeah, we ran the show. We debuted September 22nd, which was the 10th anniversary of the pilot airing. So we had a publicist, and we sort of let everyone know that it's the 10th anniversary. Your favorite show is coming back in musical form. Relive all 6 seasons. And that brought a lot of people. Jorge, as Steve said, came to see the show. He mentioned it on the radio, and then we were kind of sold out after that.
Yeah, after Jorge mentioned on K-Rock, basically it was just a clear guide to sold-out shows after that. So with Game of Thrones, we've been very fortunate that it's such an avid fan base of Game of Thrones fans that really want all they can get of their extended universe of Game of Thrones.
And everybody, like, we debuted in February because we knew Game of Thrones was not on television, that people were missing it. Where else are you going to go on Sunday night if you can't see it on HBO? Come and watch our show.
Yeah.
And now, so we're going to end up debuting on the 20th in San Diego, 4 days after season 7 premieres. So season 7's on the 16th of July. All the buzz is back. Everyone's excited for it. We're going to have to quickly write some new jokes just to include some new information from that first episode and slap it into the show. And then, hopefully people who are there to see the panel will also come and see us.
Cool. I mean, that's the other thing as well that I always like to ask people who are organizing off-site stuff. Although I think this is slightly different for yourselves because you're more the evening. What's your con experience like? Do you get the chance to actually go and check out the rest of San Diego and then quickly hot-foot it to the theater, or do you spend your day sorting the show?
Well, it's funny you ask. We're going to be doing, of course, massive rehearsals and, you know, last-minute things. And, you know, it's musical theater, so it's always a push to the last minute. But we actually have a booth inside Comic-Con. We're going to be partnering with the Golden Apple booth. It's booth 1806 in the con. And we'll be selling tickets and giving out merchandise and doing fun stuff with cast members in that booth all throughout the con. So
we have, because we have 2 cast members, while one cast is rehearsing in the theater, the other cast is walking around in costume or handing out flyers and checking out the con.
Ooh.
And some of us have passes, so we'll be actually at the booth selling tickets. This is my 11th year at Comic-Con. And the first year that I'm actually doing something off-site myself, working-wise. So I'll be floating in and out on both, but I'm like, when's the Game of Thrones panel? You might have extra insight. We heard it was Friday. We don't know when it is. Because when people are waiting in Hall H, in the line to Hall H, 6,000 people waiting in line, we're going to serenade them with a song from the musical.
Yeah, we're going to come out with our boombox and our cast and just give some music and glory.
Yeah.
This is going to be awesome. This is going to be awesome.
What is your background? What is your background in musical theater or improv or what have you guys done? I know you talked about Lost, but prior to that, have you
yeah, I'm a former child actor. I'm still an actor. I make my living off acting. I've been fortunate enough to be in a lot of good projects over the years.
You've seen this face in many commercials, in the movie Rebound with Martin Lawrence, 14 episodes of ER. This is a very familiar face to you.
I'm very fortunate in my career as an actor. I'm a UCB Groundlings alum. I've done improv for years. As a writer, Lost was my first massive endeavor into a musical theater book, but I've done musical theater for years. Well, I should say until my voice changed, and then I no longer could sing, and then I had to kind of take a background to the behind the scenes.
I ran my own theatre company in Sydney, Australia, so I produced a lot of shows there. I used to as well, but I don't do a good American accent. In fact, I don't even do a good Australian accent because it's kind of combined after all these years. So I stick to it.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I was just wondering because I having done enough musical theater in my past to never want to do it again, not being a big fan of it. Not from a technical perspective, not from an actor's perspective. I just was wondering how deep was the love for musical theater, and you've answered my question. Thank you so much.
Yeah, acting, my first love. Musical theater is tied with my second.
And all of our cast love the show and love each other, and love musical theater as well.
Cool. When it comes to Game of Thrones musical, I mean, you're saying you've done these original songs. Is there any touchstones or any musicals, or what's the styles that you've gone to for the songs?
It's a very rock and roll musical. We definitely had an influence from Rent. We had an influence from School of Rock. Like it's a very, very big rock and roll, get in your face, make you jive in your seat sort of musical. So
we definitely said we have to give Tyrion a solo number because he's such a star, and his number is called "You Can't Kill Me," because we're never going to kill off Peter Dinklage. He's everyone's favorite character.
He's won 2 Emmys.
He's won 2 Emmys. While everyone is dying, he has a solo number which may or may not include tap dancing direwolves. Yes, there are tap dancing direwolves that are in the "You Can't Kill Me" number. And what else? What are some other numbers?
So we actually had a song that may or may not be in the musical. We're still debating it. We wrote a song that we ended up not using in our LA run that we might use in our San Diego run called Spoiler Alert, which spoils everything that's ever happened to Game of Thrones in 3 minutes of musical glory.
In 3 minutes? Now that's impressive. Yeah. It's not the fact you're going to include a song called you do it in 3 minutes.
Yes. 3 minutes, we get everything out. We get Cersei's Walk of Shame. We get everyone that's been killed. We get everything that Game of Thrones fans will not want to hear if they haven't seen the show.
Now, something also that's great about our show is it's also for people who've not seen Game of Thrones. We had a lot of people come and were like, I've never seen the TV show, but I'll watch this musical. And this was a really funny introduction to the show. And they're like, oh, this kind of makes sense. I get it. Now I'll go and watch the real show. So if you have friends out there who haven't seen the TV show, don't fret. You can still come and enjoy our show, and then actually might turn you on to the TV series.
At which point, I can also imagine you'll be handing out earplugs for the spoiler alert song. Just bang them in. 3 minutes. We'll wave flags. You'll be fine.
Well, it's funny. first 30 seconds, we say, anybody who needs to leave now, please get out before we spoil everything.
Excellent stuff. I also like the idea that it's a rock kind of sensibility to the whole thing. I didn't think Game of Thrones meets The Sound of Music was going to quite work. I did, yeah, I thought that'd be that's the one. Got Karen Session who's saying these guys are not going to get any sleep during Comic-Con, at which point I did reply, well, welcome to the club. Who gets sleep during Comic-Con? But yeah, it sounds like you are really ramping up your timetable throughout the year. Kitty Gunn is asking, is the musical Cliff Note version, or is this the musical Cliff Note version of the book's show? Yeah, so is it kind of like a condensed version of the whole books? Is it the books or the show? So
the books. Oh, sorry. The show is a streamlined version of the books. Our show is a streamlined version of the show. So our first number is called a story of a Game of Thrones. It's our big opening number because we are a story of a Game of Thrones.
So we're season 1.
We're season 1. We make references to all the seasons. We have jokes from every single plot point that's happened in the show, but our story is essentially season 1. We start with Ned and his family in Winterfell, and we end in King's Landing with some unfortunate stuff happening.
It's no spoiler alert to let you know that the final song is called Heads Will Roll.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, I've got the dance track. Yes in my head. Okay, fair enough. Andrew Dickinson, why do I get a reduced Shakespeare Company vibe? No, I totally get that. I mean, you're aware of them guys, perhaps.
Yeah,
but
a lot of play. You know, they'll take everything and condense it into one. Yeah, and that's the fun. None of the boring table meetings where they're just talking about what they're going to do, or just the fun stuff, just the incest and sex.
We just jump from death to Red Wedding. We get all the fun in one place.
Well, that was going to be my next question. How much? I'm presuming there's a song or two all about the Red Wedding.
So we have a song called "All Men Must Die," which may or may not mention a lot about season 2 stuff, the stuff that might happen down the pipeline. Don't get too attached to the characters you're watching on stage. They might not be around very long.
Yes, there are some characters who stay their entire character the whole show, and then some actors who plays a variety of characters, because once one character, they can play a different character. That's happened a lot in Lost. We had one guy, he played Charlie, and then he played Daniel Faraday, and then he kept playing different Charles Widmore, and I think he died 7 times in Lost the musical.
Fair enough. Karen Session, these guys make me want to see the show, and I don't watch Game of Thrones. There you go. That's what we're all about.
You say hi, Karen. See you at Comic-Con.
Karen, you are my favorite person in the room right now.
And what else? Graham Small. Now, this question I can understand could possibly rub you up the wrong way, but we'll see how it goes. Did the guys get annoyed when Coldplay stole their idea on Red Nose Day?
So, Coldplay technically came before us, but yes, we are angered at Coldplay for getting the bunch.
No. If you like what Coldplay did, this is that same thing, but 90 minutes better. And everyone gets a number. And
it's basically, if you want to see more of your favorite characters doing what they do in theater format, then our show is the perfect thing for you. So.
Yeah, so basically, Coldplay did their thing, but Game of Thrones the musical, as you will see performed in San Diego, is written by proper songwriters, proper musicians, and not just
Coldplay group or whoever they
not that Coldplay jumped up art school nonsense that they do. I mean, they just repeat the same words over again. It's pish.
That was a really funny sketch for Red Nose Day, and that was great for them. And we're doing a full production.
How many people are in the cast?
So we have 2 casts of 14 people each. We got 14 people, 6 girls, and what's my math here? 8 boys.
And we actually have a narrator in the show, someone who narrates the show, and it's actually our version of George R.R. Martin. George sits in the balcony, watches the show, comments. He sits at his typewriter, but he doesn't type one word the entire show. He's trying to write his he's so distracted.
Please tell me there's an interactive version where people can take popcorn to throw at the narrator, say, hurry up before you die, hurry up.
Book 8.
Excellent. Excellent. Can you just wrap up in terms of the dates and also how people can find out more about Game of Thrones and buy tickets?
So we're playing 8 shows over 3 days, July 20th to the 23rd at the 10th Avenue Arts District, just a 10-minute walk from the Gas Lamp District.
So basically,
gee, this doesn't sound like you're reading this out from anything.
No. Head to gotthemusical.com, gotthemusical.com, which is our website, and you'll see all the information there. Tickets are available. There are 3 tiers of tickets, actually. You can buy yourself a standard ticket. You can get a VIP ticket, which will include a drink and a signed poster and priority seating. Or you can get a platinum pass, which is open bar all night, drink, plus a soundtrack and a poster and reserved seating. So there's different levels. We are actually, as Stephen said, we're at the 10th Avenue Arts Center. There is a theater on the bottom floor, which we'll be in. But there's also a rooftop bar on the 5th floor. And we're going to be having entertainment, live entertainment. Some of our cast are going to be doing trivia and playing music and doing stand-up. So if you come to the 9 o'clock show, you can come up at 6 or 7 o'clock, have some drinks, meet the cast, then come down to the 9 o'clock show. Likewise, if you see the 6 o'clock show when the show's over, you can come up to our roof and hang out and drink more before the 9 o'clock show.
Oh, what a very clever marketing scheme.
Yeah, so we're going to eat all night with us. You don't just have to see the musical. There's a lot more to do as well. Yep.
Cool. Is there any teasers to the score or to the songs? Is there any YouTube clips? Is there any?
Stephen, there is there's nothing on YouTube except for our trailer. But do you want to give them a little serenade of our first song, or "Hello from Winterfell"?
Well, you don't want to hear us sing it, but hello from Winterfell. Up here it's cold as hell. Rule with an iron fist. We're the main protagonists. And cut.
Bravo. Thank you.
Our cast does a much better job than we do.
You can type in Game of Thrones, the musical trailer, and you'll see a couple of trailers. You'll see some costumes. You'll see what, even on the website, you can see our trailer at gotthemusical.com. I
am going to do my best to spread the word and certainly put the YouTube. I mean, I think the YouTube trailer's up on our the competition page, but I'm definitely going to keep resharing the video because from what I've seen of it, it looks incredible. I'm not a Game of Thrones massive fan, and I'm stoked for this. It looks amazing. A couple of people.
It does. I mean, I even am thinking about going and seeing a musical theater production, which I would never have ever thought of doing that in my life. So hats off to you guys, and really looking forward to it. Is the after hours show going to be both on Friday and Saturday night?
No. The midnight show is the after dark show is just Friday night.
On
Saturday night, there's a big official party on a boat, which is Game of Thrones themed. And we're actually going to take the cast to that boat party and do a few cabaret songs. So that's what our plan is on Saturday night. We're kind of affiliated with them. So Friday night is our only midnight show. Every other night, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we have 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. That's 6 shows. Then we have the bonus Friday midnight and Sunday at 1 o'clock. If you don't want to go to all that kid programming and you don't want to go wait in traffic, come and see our Sunday 1 p.m. matinee.
Perfect.
This sounds awesome. I mean, we've got people there. Graham Small sounds awesome. Colin Kidd, this sounds amazing. Andrew Dickinson, you also need to speak to Paul and Storm.
Who's that? Paul and Storm?
I think that might be directed at me. I'm not too sure.
Okay.
Who knows? Anyway.
We know a Daenerys Stormborn, but we don't know a Paul Stormborn.
Listen, thank you so much indeed for coming on the show. I'm stoked for this because it's just such it sounds amazing. It just really sounds like so much fun.
In person and seeing you in San Diego.
Cool, excellent stuff. One more time, best place for people to find out to go. Where's best website?
www.gotthemusical.com.
Excellent stuff. Stephen, thank you very much indeed for joining us, chaps.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See you in July.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much indeed for coming on.
Wow.
That sounds so much fun. Let's see. Andrew Dickinson, YouTube, Westerosi Pie. So there you go. That's apparently a search you can put in, and we'll do our best to find the YouTube search for that as well, and we'll get that up and running, and spread the word as much as we possibly can. I presume the tickets are selling reasonably well. Are you still got a number left? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's plenty of seats available.
Yeah,
Cool.
they're selling quick, but get on it while you can. So
yeah, that's pretty much where I was going. There's not like 4 or 5 people who've just bought tickets. They're doing rather nicely. So there we go. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much indeed, guys.
thank you, sir.
Excellent.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Brilliant. So there we go. That is Stephen from Game of Thrones the musical. How cool is that?
I think I'm going to do it. I've really hesitated on buying tickets to anything simply because I'm always scared that something else is going to come up. But that sounds like a blast.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, that's
cool.
Good. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Right. So there you go. Those have been our guests for today. We are trying to line up more guests as we go between now and July. Pretty much July is sorted. We do have Helen O'Hara from Empire Magazine who's going to be joining us again to talk about the films of Comic-Con. That's going to be coming up. We've also got, of course, the scheduling dates of shows. Those are all lined up. We've also got, I believe, Mark City wants to come on the show next week. So I think we're going to be talking about Wonder Woman next week. But this is your time now. What we want you to do is think about the guests that you would like us to get on the show in the next 4 weeks. What I want you to do is use the hashtag #CupOTSDCC and start pestering people. Could you go to your favorite star and just go, you really need to go on this hangout. You need to talk to Leonard and Alyssa and talk to... Yeah. That's what we want. Start pestering people. So there you go. Cool. Right. So what shall we do? Where shall we go to next? What should we deal with?
You have exclusives. You have on the schedule. You have exclusives, which I unfortunately don't know very much about. I am so far out of the exclusive lane. I will say that not Entertainment Factory Entertainment, I think, with a yellow logo that had a really neat Black Panther.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. Let's cover that now. So let me just go to the screen share and bring up this because this is the exclusive directory on An Englishman in San Diego as is, and yeah, we've got ourselves a number of ones that were released this week. Certainly 2000 AD have brought a couple of t-shirts pretty much geared around the same design. So if I just bring this up. This is based off their new series, which they announced a couple of weeks ago, Mega City, Judge Dredd Mega City 1, which is going to be coming to screens in the next couple of years. Obviously, Rebellion and 2000 AD are going to do their absolute damnedest to get everyone's attention. And in doing so, they are bringing out this T-shirt where you can either get the Citizen version or the Perp version. These are priced in the UK, so it's $24.99, but they are going to be available only at the booth, which is 2806 at San Diego Comic-Con, and available from Thursday through the Sunday. So it is available to buy now on shop at shop.2000ad.com, and obviously you'll be able to buy it at the booth as well. But if you're a Judge Dredd fan, and if you want to get on this nice and early before the TV series, because they are pushing this as a major production, so do keep an eye on that. So that was that. Those two which got announced this week, but the one you're talking about is from Factory Entertainment, which was a Black Panther. In fact, they released two this week, a Justice League Cyborg metal miniature and a Marvel Black Panther. We'll do the one that you mentioned, which is the Black Panther metal miniature, which just looks incredible. Going to be available at booth 2647 from Factory. It's priced about $40 with a convention quantity of only 500 pieces. It's a 1/32 scale hand-painted metal miniature figure of the Black Panther in a presentation box with exclusive figure. But if you just have a look at the detailing involved in this thing, it looks incredible. I mean, then again, I was blown away by the Black Panther design for the film anyway. But I mean, just have a look at just how it's put together, and then of course you've got your presentation box as well down at the bottom. But yeah, just front and center, it just looks amazing. No, you're absolutely right. So for $40, there is that. What else have we got?
There was another thing from Factory Entertainment, the cyborg metal.
The cyborg metal miniature. Yeah, okay, let's pull that up. This is obviously based on the Justice League character. Very similar box presentation as the Black Panther. Priced again at $40, 500 pieces again. It's the Vic Story version of the cyborg, which gives you a little bit more of a sense of the actual detailing as well of the actual the models themselves. Let's see if I can just bring this up, and I need to zoom in a little bit there, just to give you a sense of the detail of this thing. Very, very, very impressive. $40, very good indeed, especially if you are a cyborg fan. And off the back of the film, obviously his character is going to get a lot of attention as well. I think the other ones as well, which I'm excited about, is a number of items that have been released by Mobius Models, which were the latest releases, because these only came out or were announced on Friday. There's a Frank Frazetta Death Dealer, which is a signature edition, scale 110 model. Which is, as far as I'm aware, there's a little bit of construction involved, but it's a styrene kit based on the Frank Frazetta Death Dealer. It comes with a unique numbered signature sleeve signed by Frank Frazetta Jr., the son of the artist, Jeff Yeager, the master sculptor, and Frank Winsper, the president of Mobius Models. Clocks in at $70. No idea yet about how many of these they're going to be. But it's an impressive looking piece of kit. So apparently going to be a pin set for this particular item. We have yet to find out more details about that, but it does come with a full presentation box as well, and there on screen as well, the Frank Frazetta original Death Dealer artwork, which looks incredible. So there you go. Paint and cement are required for assembly, not included. So that's where I get into trouble, because when it comes to actually building things, it goes horribly wrong. There is actually something where you don't actually have to build a damn thing. It actually comes fully built out of the box, which is a Batman versus Superman Batwing. It's a 125 scale. This is not $40 to $70. This is $150. This is quite pricey. But then you have a look at it and realize why. It's staggeringly detailed. It's an incredibly impressive looking piece of kit. Comes with a carry bag, an outer box, and a presentation box. But if you're a fan of your superhero vehicles, especially considering that for me, the Batwing was one of those vehicles which was very odd. The way that the film was lit, you couldn't actually really determine details about the vehicle, and the way that Zack Snyder did Batman versus Superman, it was all clouded in darkness. You couldn't really get in there and see what the Batwing was all about. Now you can. It's an impressive piece of kit. Like I say, we've yet to know how many of these are going to be available, but you are looking at $150 available at the Mobius Models booth 2946. And last but not least, from Mobius is the one that I will be buying. Okay, this is out of all of these. I mean, the Hasbro, the Black Series is nice. The 4-5 figure set, sweet. It's all very, very pretty. All of them are really good. But this is $8. I can afford $8. I can do that. And also, I'm a massive 2001 fan. So it's a lapel pin. And it's based on the HAL I-plate.
Oh, I want that.
How cool is that?
I want that. Absolutely. No,
It's a 2-inch high lapel pin, butterfly clasp on the back. $8.
That's mine.
I'm sold. I am so sold.
Yeah. It's the first thing that I've really said, okay, I'm going for that. Absolutely. It's small. It's easy. I don't have to, you know, it's not a huge box like a, I was just looking, you know, went through my basement and I was looking at my Megaplex from Hasbro. And I've got 2 of these and they're huge. And yeah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing as well that someone pointed out when I posted about this on Twitter, it's the anniversary next year. It's 60 years. 60 years of 2001.
Wow, that's
At
right.
which point I then
68.
started thinking, I thought, well, hang on, this is my Hall H moment. If I put together a 2001 panel, if I get all the cast, how many of them are still alive? Never mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The idea kind of derailed itself really quickly.
Yeah.
But no, it looks, I'm a 2001 fan, so no, I'm down with that. That
Absolutely.
looks impressive. Oh, it's 50 years. Sorry, Andrew Dickinson. He's my little Chippetto. He's the one that keeps me on square on these things. Amazing. So there we go. Thank you very much indeed to Dan Berry for shouting out and pointing me in the direction for those. But that's Mobius models available. Well, I think they're available for pre-order now, but they are going to be available at the convention. So there we go. Cool. And I think that's it in terms of Comic-Con news.
Well, I think there was a little bit that you did get an email from CCI.
Right. Yes, I did. But this was off the back of various things that have happened over the course of the last 7 days. First and foremost, I was going to put this at the end of the show, but I think we can say certainly as our own personal tribute to the resilience of the people of Manchester after the attack at the Ariana Grande concert on Monday evening. It was a devastating thing that happened. It was an attack on young people and young children, and it was heartbreaking. But what was almost instantly the most gratifying thing to see that came out of it was the solidarity, not just in Manchester but worldwide, but certainly within the city, of people coming together, and it was a powerful thing to see. Off the back of that, I suspect a lot of people were heightened in terms of security at events. Certainly here in the UK, MCM is running this weekend. Various other events are coming up. And of course, internationally, it did raise the questions again about what conventions are doing to make their attendees safe, especially as well off the back of the event that happened at Phoenix Comic-Con on Thursday. A 40-year-old gentleman was taken to the ground by police at Phoenix, accosted by, the gentleman was fully tooled up with handguns, a shotgun and blades with the intention of doing harm to a number of cast members that were attending Phoenix Comic-Con this weekend. At which point, Phoenix Comic-Con introduced a blanket-wide cosplay weapons ban, certainly on things like guns, pulse rifles, blades, anything that could be misconstrued as a very dangerous weapon. Danbury, 30-year-old, 40. I said 30-year-old. I'm sure I said 30. Did I? I'm sure I said 30. But anyway, that's details. Mm-hmm. So at which point Phoenix Comic-Con then introduced this ban, and yes, as Andrew Dickinson says, a weapons trader refused to comply with the rules, and a whole number of tensions ramped up over the course of the weekend. Thankfully, it has kind of eased itself down. I've been paying attention to social media today, certainly in terms of Phoenix Comic-Con. Everyone seems to have settled down into a sense of equilibrium about the whole situation, but they do recognize that something had to be introduced off the back of this security scare. At which point I then got in contact with CCI because I wanted to talk to them about what their communications had been. And as correctly pointed out by the unofficial blog, when they commented on the tweet, yes, it's the same setup as we're going to be familiar with at San Diego in the past, in terms of the security booth at the front of the convention center, in terms of the security around the various entrances to the convention center as well, and possibly also a reintroduction of the armed police presence that was looking down over the Hall H area of the convention center as well. So that was introduced last year. We may be seeing that again. But what was interesting was that they were saying that they were staying in complete communication with the police department in San Diego, with national law enforcement as well, and they are doing what they can to make sure and ensure our safety, which I'm sure we all take incredible gratitude that they make those efforts. So yeah, what's been the chatter on the forum about it, especially when it comes to the Phoenix Comic-Con element of that?
The issues seem to really break down into how much security do we want. Yes, we all want to feel safe. However, by banning all prop weapons entirely, it devastates cosplayers because they've worked on these costumes for a long time. I did hear some reports that people were substituting a cardboard cutout or bananas, or these types of things. But the problem comes when there's such a clampdown that people can't go about and enjoy the convention. Now, I totally understand security at concerts. The concert in Paris a year or so ago, the concert in Manchester are absolutely devastating. These are people who are just going to enjoy themselves like we are at Comic-Con. But the fact of the matter is that if somebody wants to do this, they've got a gazillion targets in the gas lamp, and which has nothing to do with CCI. That's the San Diego Police Department. So there are always going to be those checkpoints in which something could happen just outside of the checkpoint. So it could happen at the airport if downtown is clamped down on. So I'm kind of wondering how far, if Phoenix went a little too far, is my worry in banning all cosplay props. I could totally understand, no sharp edges.
Yeah, I mean, I know people would get. I mean, people have taken the side of the company that refused to comply with the rules, which was Ultra Sabers. However, I can't have too much sympathy for them when they were effectively a trader of replica weapons, whatever type. I mean, they were. It doesn't matter if it's like, I don't know, mallets from Harley Quinn or something. They were invited to a mandatory meeting on the Friday morning, and they didn't show up. They were asked to implement certain changes to their trading policies, which they refused to do. They were then asked to leave the convention, at which point they then smuggled themselves back in to hand out flyers. While I have every sympathy for a trader who has their business affected by implementation of security measures, when you then go and basically piss on your own back door, I'm sorry, I don't have that much sympathy. Certainly we've got one or two people. Oh.
Sure, no, I totally agree with you that that it's a different matter if you're selling a product at the convention center, and you do need to be aware of the situation and the surrounding mood.
Surroundings, the atmosphere.
Absolutely. I mean, it's totally possible. The point that I'm having a problem with personally is all of the cosplayers who have obviously fake weapons. And they can't. I mean, I'm talking the non-replicas, the ones that are Nerf guns, those kinds of things. So that's
sure.
I feel sympathy for those guys.
Yeah.
But
let's go down a couple of the comments. Andrew English, this is based off the implementation at MCM Expo this weekend. Certain weapons were banned at MCM, but sniffer dogs and bag checkers didn't really affect getting into the event. So there. The target of the gentleman on the Thursday with Jason David Frank, the green-white ranger from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Dan Berry, isn't the CCI statement the same as they released last year after the Orlando club incident? Yes, but don't forget, last year they did ramp up the security around San Diego quite considerably. And I think, to be honest, that's the level we're going to see in July. It didn't affect too much. It was unobtrusive. Someone on Twitter this afternoon suggested that perhaps bag checks could be implemented at Comic-Con. I personally don't feel, number one, it's feasible. It's a logistic nightmare. Where do you put the bag checks? Where do you implement them? Do you bag check everybody? There's too many ins and outs. There's too many doors to get backwards and forwards. I personally don't see how that would be implemented. I think at the moment it would be the process that we've seen in 2016. Michael P, remember the terrorists win if we change. Absolutely. Phoenix has
agree with you 100%, Michael. Absolutely.
Damn right. Damn right. Dan Berry, Phoenix, Arizona has an open carry law, which was, I understand, the defense of the gentleman that was tackled. Andrew Dickinson, I was a reenactor for 30 years, and even prop weapons can kill. Anything with enough reach and mass can do some serious damage. It's true. It's absolutely. It's like you say, anything can be construed as a weapon. This guy, at the end of the day, came in with the real deal.
I understand what you're saying. I totally, but I'm talking about like 3D printer stuff that doesn't shoot.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's pew pew.
Oh, sure. I mean, anyone carrying a phaser I totally get. But it's when you then have someone who's doing a Suicide Squad, with a replica AK-47.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the line? Where's the line? Graham Small. Oh, come on, the Power Rangers weren't that bad. Yep, you're absolutely right. And I think the last point we'll leave, certainly when it comes to Ultra Sabers, Ultra Saber was even given a full refund. It's not like they were just kicked out of the building. They, at the end of the day, they didn't comply with the basic instructions that they were given. Waiting, for God's sake, you send somebody. Ridiculous.
I do want to make two final points on this. One, statistically, it's still safer than 99% of the other big sporting events. Big events out there. It's just, use the same rationale that you do to get on a plane, in that it's safer to get on a plane than it is to drive, number one. And number two, know that everybody who is in production has the security has an eye for security out there because of these two events. I could virtually say that without a doubt. And the third last point, see something, say something. Correct. Absolutely. Because it's dependent upon all of us. If you see somebody that's got a bomb vest on that looks real, say something.
Yeah.
I didn't need to say that, I know, but because we're all smart.
No,
but
yeah, and not only that, I think a lot of us also recognize the tone of people that attend Comic-Con because of the reason why we go there, to celebrate fandom. There is, I mean, admittedly, yes, it gets hot, people get cranky, but that's a different type of freneticism. You can, I think people can spot real anger a mile away, but there we go. Okay, I think the only other thing that did get announced last week, just to kind of talk about, wrap up CCI news, was at last, thank God, finally, one last special guest announcement from Comic-Con. Because considering that they were going to wrap these up at the end of April, Jesus. Okay, so no, they finally got them out, but 56 people are going to be showing up as special guests at Comic-Con this year. And on Monday, they announced that they were going to get one more name. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Stan the Man. Oh, be still her beating heart.
Totally, absolutely. I may actually go for another photo op with him, just because, you know, I'll break my trend, and he's, you know, he's the icon.
He's the man.
He's the father of everything. So you know.
Yeah, I did quite like the statement there. Another photo op. Caroline has been trying for 4 years on the trot now. She's not bitter. But yes, there we go. Writer, editor, publisher, Stan the Man. And as you've seen over the last couple of years, he has been scaling back his appearances at conventions from international to European to American, North American. The window is getting smaller and smaller. So I'm not, I mean, let me touch wood. I have some wood here. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. There is actually a wooden bedpost here which I will touch, and I will say, okay.
Doing the show from your bed.
Yes, let me rephrase this. But let's touch wood.
You're red here.
I know. But
we can tell
basically. Well, no, but very, very quickly. So yeah, at the end of the day, we could be getting one of our final chances to see Stan in the flesh. So do check that out. Something that I'm going to be writing up this week, which I should have done last week when it was officially announced, HasbroCon, of course. We are going to be having that. Hasbro are doing their own convention, and Stan is the one of the featured guests at that. Danbury, I expect Stanley not to leave the SoCal area for cons, only Comikaze and Comic-Con for now on. So there we go. So yeah, I said knock on wood. I behaved, kind of. Anyway, so there we go. Stanley coming to Comic-Con. Week in television, go for it.
We are wrapping up finals. So we've got a lot of shows are ending. The last remnants of shows are ending with Lucifer, Prison Break, The Americans' 5th season ending finale is happening this week. Amazing Race, one of my favorites. I love the travel stuff. I wanted to ask you about Leonard Class. You originally, when it was brought up, didn't have a lot to say about Class, the Doctor Who spinoff, and I'm wondering about did it go into a season 2? Can we expect anything more, or is one and done?
I would personally say there's going to be a season 2, purely because of how popular it's been in the States. Here in the UK, it didn't really take off. It just didn't make any kind of impact. I think partially because it was being shown on a digital channel, the BBC digital channel here in the UK. So it kind of got buried, as it were. So in the States, you've had more of a chance to embrace it. I know that a couple of the cast members have been at MCM this year, and yet they did get some sizable lines. So there is a very core fan base. I think the best show I can equate it to is Orphan Black. Have the biggest audience. It had a passionate audience, which only grew in time. I'm hoping that the BBC allow it to grow organically. But who knows? Who knows?
All for organic growth. That seems to be the best model out there. We do have a couple, since we're in the American holiday of Memorial Day weekend. We do have a reduced schedule this week for new shows. However, we are getting a couple of new cooking shows with Gordon Ramsay, which is one of my favorites. I know I enjoy Hell's Kitchen, and the new show is a blend of F-Word. It's called F-Word with Gordon Ramsay, and it's a blend of variety and cooking shows. I'll give it a shot just because. Animal Kingdom is coming back. I believe that was on FX, or I'm not, I forget which network that's on. But the big one is House of Cards is dropping on Tuesday. A lot of people around here are really looking forward to that one. Coming up in the following weeks, we're going to start getting into all of our summer shows. So we'll start seeing Zoo is coming back, a variety of other shows, and we'll start bringing that up next week when they actually start premiering. So that's the week in television and Netflix.
Very quickly, you've got Angela Copwell buried amongst all the comments going, House of Cards, woo, House of Cards.
Absolutely.
Angela Copley is also saying the Lucifer season finale is this week as well.
Yes, no, Lucifer, Prison Break, The Americans, Amazing Race, and Class. I thought there was another show or two that was, but these are all shows that are there's another show that's ending too that I wasn't quite sure about. But apparently The Americans is also going to be a big one on Tuesday night too. So if you do watch that show, make sure you catch it live.
Fair enough. Certainly the show that I've been catching up with this week, Twin Peaks. I decided to bite into that slice of weirdness, and it is one thing I would say is, if you didn't embrace the Lynchian moments of the series when it first came out, then this will not interest you at all. Certainly around episode 3, you will probably just go and just stick it in a blender and hit frappe. It's just plenty weird. But I'm suspecting, and that, well, partially because I think he's going to be doing the show in his own terms, unlike the season 2 of the original series. It's going to be David Lynch doing David Lynch. It's going to be his show. So I think he's going to allow it to pay off as much as he wants it to pay off, and it'll be enough, if that makes sense. So there's that.
I wish that I could afford all of these channels. I still am trying to catch up on the other one on Stars, and this one and this show. So I just want them all to be on one channel, so I don't have to keep paying for all of these individual channels. I did wanted to say also, I think we're seeing the season finale of Imagine Mary. And I think that's that has not been renewed also. So that's the end of it. Right.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
We did have somebody that was asking about Last Ship. I haven't heard of any date. I know that it's been renewed for a 10-episode 4th season, but I don't believe we've got a date yet. But as far as I'm aware, also there is a 10-episode 5th season on the way as well. So it's going to be imminent. So no, we'll keep our eyes open for that.
I'm going to try and do some work on a summer premiere series that's going on. Zoo is the one that's been getting a lot of airplay in my area. That's actually I never watched the first couple of seasons, but I think I may actually turn into it. Massive creatures.
Was last week the season finale for Riverdale? It's a show that I haven't been watching. Kitty Gunn has asked about that. Andy Bayback is saying hi. Hi. Don't forget, Andy Bayback is going to be special guest on the Unofficial Blogs show on Wednesday. So do tune into that. So catch Andy on the show, and hopefully we'll get him on our show at some point.
That would be wonderful to see him again. We do have basketball finals are happening here in the States. So this week also. So just expect all the sports people to be going, yeah, we're going to wrap things. We're going to wrap things up. It's okay. And not only that, but it's Memorial Day and it's Bank Holiday weekend here, so people are wanting to get off. So we'll get off. Let's see. Supercat Chick, I'm validating my Showtime subscription by watching Twin Peaks and catching up on Ray Donovan, so it makes it okay. I understand that. Graham Small, last ship 21st of August is where he's hearing that. I was looking through a couple of websites, I couldn't quite see a date, so thank you very much indeed for that, Graham. Kitty Gunn, Legion has a slight, and I mean slight, vibe of Twin Peaks. Right, Legion is very, very good, and it's very, very strange. Twin Peaks is a whole other ball of bizarre. It's a whole other world of weird. No, that's very, very cool. Karen Session, say thank you to a veteran. Absolutely. I think that's a perfect way to wrap things up. Absolutely. Cool. So thank you very much indeed for watching on today's show. Once again, let's see if we can get some groundswell and find out who you would like us to get on this show for guests over the next couple of weeks. Like I say, we've got ourselves our guests in that certainly the 3-4 weeks leading up to San Diego, but I think we've got a 2-3 week window where we could just have anybody on. So let's see what we can get on. Next week, we will be having Mark Serby because me and him are going to be talking about Wonder Woman, but that's going to be kind of like at the back end. Let's have something to talk about as well and have a guest on. So thank you very much indeed. Alyssa, where can people find you online? At Friends of CCI is my Twitter handle, and friendsofcc.com.
Excellent stuff. And for myself, you can find me on the various social medias, Englishman SDCC, and of course you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram. Maybe not Pinterest, scrap that one. You can also find me at patreon.com/EnglishmanSDCC. Do take care, enjoy the rest of your bank holiday weekend or Memorial Day. Do have yourself the rest of a great weekend, and from us too, we'll see you soon. Thanks again to our fantastic guests. Just to say, I knew I was going to say something. Thank you so much to Emily. Thanks to Stephen and Stephen. Do check their sites out. Traveling Stories. Check out Game of Thrones the musical. Lots of stuff. So there we go.
Bye.
Take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.